The internet is filled with stuff like this. Or like this. Yes, I am talking about the Whitey Trend. The Whitey Trend is an online slang term used in Black social media spaces to describe the growing pattern of Black women publicly choosing, pursuing, or celebrating relationships with white men because they are perceived as safer, softer, richer, more stable, or higher status than Black men. Let's talk about Onyeka. Yes, the Nigerian girl who lost $500,000 to a white man claiming to be a Danish prince. But we need to be honest. She didn't just get scammed. She participated in the delusion. He told her he was royal, a European aristocrat, an Olympian with medals you'll never find on Google, a millionaire tech genius with international connections. Just, wow. Wait a minute, babe. At some point, the resume stops sounding like a man and starts sounding like a Marvel character. But instead of pausing, instead of checking, instead of Googling one single thing, she dove headfirst into the fantasy. She literally dated an avatar, all the stories he told her. She loved the aesthetic of being chosen by a white, wealthy, worldly man. She said yes to the illusion, like she was auditioning to be stepmother of Denmark, ready to collect her tiara, her title, and her fairy tale ending. Meanwhile, the man didn't even have a damn Danish SIM card. Let's address the real disease. There is a growing trend online, in diaspora circles, on TikTok, where some Black women treat dating a white man like an upgrade. Not because of who he is, not because of character, not because of compatibility, but because whiteness itself has been marketed as luxury, as safety, as a glow-up. A white man buys you pasta, smiles gently, and suddenly you're posting soft life content like you've entered the royal court of Versailles. This is the problem. This is the delusion. The Whitey Trend is not a preference. It's colonial conditioning dressed as romance. It's the subconscious belief that a white man choosing you raises your value. And scammers love this. They don't even have to try hard. Just be white, be polite, and the pedestal builds itself. This man asked for money once. Fine. Twice? Questionable. 3 times? Alarming. 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Babe, at that point, you're not dating. You're doing charity work. Tax problems. Business deals that mysteriously fell through. Crypto emergencies. Temporary issues. Gambling debts that were always one payment away from disappearing. And yet she kept sending money. More money. Money she didn't even have. Money she borrowed, money from friends, money from family. $500,000 later, the Olympic Danish prince vanished like he was never real. Girl, just stop. Yes, Onyeka grew up sheltered. Yes, she was raised in a deeply religious household where you trust, obey, submit, and don't question too much. Yes, she probably never had real-world dating experience, especially with men who know how to manipulate. But listen, being naive does not cancel accountability. Being inexperienced does not erase responsibility. She wasn't kidnapped. She wasn't hypnotized. She wasn't trapped. She made decision after decision after decision, each one a red flag, and still wired him money. At a certain point, it stops being innocence and becomes choice. At a certain point, it stops being vulnerability and becomes denial. At a certain point, you have to admit she wanted the fantasy more than she wanted the truth. Let's be honest, Black men have failed Black women publicly, consistently, loudly, violently, emotionally. They mock Black women. They drag Black women. They pedestalize every other woman but Black women. They treat Black women like the last option, while still demanding our loyalty like generational devotion. So what happens? Black women get tired. Black women get hurt. Black women start looking for safety anywhere it appears, even if it's an illusion. And celebrity examples aside, let's talk about reality. There are Black men who approach Black women in public just to insult them. Hundreds of videos exist, men walking up to dark-skinned Black women, commenting on their looks, their hair, their bodies, their skin tone, only to laugh and walk away. There are Black men running podcasts and street interviews dedicated to humiliating Black women, calling them too masculine, too difficult, too dark, too loud, too educated, too independent, never enough. And here's the consequence. No one wants to admit when Black men publicly degrade Black women, Other men feel permitted to do the same. Non-black men follow the script. Everyone learns that disrespecting black women has no social consequences. Honestly, that dynamic alone could be a whole video. But here's where the danger comes in. Going from black men disappointed me to white men must be safer is a dangerous leap, a foolish leap, a colonially engineered leap, because some of y'all genuinely believe whiteness equals stability. White softness equals emotional intelligence. White attention equals healing. And that is why scams like this work. Not because white men are smarter, not because they're morally superior, but because the pedestal was already built by centuries of programming. White men don't have to do much. Just be gentle. Just be polite. Just be not openly hostile. And suddenly they're seen as saviors, as upgrades, as the escape hatch from black male disrespect, as a promise of wealth, success, and social clout. But sometimes that's not safety. Sometimes, like Onyeka's case, that's a trap wearing a soft smile. Onyeka wasn't just a victim. She was a participant in her own undoing. She wanted the fairy tale so bad. The white husband, the European lifestyle, the mixed babies with Danish passports, the Instagram perfect soft life, that she handed over her money, her network, her family, her future on a silver platter. Not because the man was trustworthy, not because the relationship was stable, not because he ever proved himself, but because he was white, foreign, confident, and he knew exactly how to weaponize softness. He knew the colonial fantasy she carried in her mind, and he stepped right into the role. That's not love. That's not fate. That's not divine timing. That's colonial indoctrination dressed up as romance. That's a fantasy she clung to, even when reality was screaming in her face, begging her to let go. The Danish Deception only works on women who are starving. Starving for validation, starving for fantasy, starving for gentleness, starving for escape, starving for the whiteness they were taught to worship. And yes, the scammer is guilty. He is manipulative. He is deceitful. He is a predator who saw an opportunity. But the pedestal built from colonial wounds, from internalized hierarchy, from a lifetime of being undervalued, that is what made room for him. Because when you see whiteness as safety, any white man looks like refuge. When you treat attention like value, any scrap feels like love. When you confuse delusion for destiny, any fairy tale feels real. You cannot navigate these men, any men, with your guard down. You must stay on your P's and Q's. You must stay grounded, discerning, awake, because you are the prize. You are the standard. You are the one who must be chosen carefully, not the other way around. And the moment you forget that, the moment you pedestalize a man because of his skin tone, accent, or softness, you open the door for your own destruction.